Hello, and welcome to Own Your Retirement. My name is Albert Lalonde from Kaizen Financial Group. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 586-752-7008 or visit us online at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen. And while at my website, click on the podcast page to check out past shows and to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. All right. So for many of you, it probably seems like time has flown by. We're saying goodbye to 2024 and welcoming in 2025. And for me, this is an ideal part of the year to talk about Social Security. Now, what are the program's big changes? Should you make adjustments to your Social Security strategy? And what changes to that strategy also change your broader financial strategy? Now, during our show today, we're going to discuss some of the keys, things that you should expect from Social Security in 2025. We'll also touch on some of the things Social Security can do that many people aren't even aware of. But before we get into today's topic, let me introduce my co host, Tony Shore, who I hear still hasn't taken down his Christmas decorations yet. What's up, Tony?
Yeah, you're right. Right. Well, yeah, we're headed into the new year, and I've still got all the Christmas decorations up, and I hope everybody out there is having a good holiday season. But you're right. We need to be prepared for the new year and look at our,
Mhm.
especially as we head into retirement or in retirement, things like Social Security. But Albert, first, I have to ask you, how have you been? I know you've been busy around the holiday season with family and friends, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
sounds
no,
good.
been very busy, especially this time of the year, end of the year, trying to get everything done for the clients as well as the holiday season. So yes, definitely busy, but excited. We are
Yeah,
getting ready for the holidays, shutting down for a little bit, and rebooting our batteries. So we can't complain about that, and then start the new year fresh and ready to go.
yeah. Yeah, and I think thinking about what you said, I think everybody knows that you have until February 1st to take down those Christmas decorations. In fact, it's in the Constitution, pretty sure. No, but Social Security is important. So, what's the first thing you want us to know about Social Security?
Yeah, well, first, a February 1st deadline to take down your Christmas decorations, Tony, is definitely not in the Constitution. Um, Social Security is important for millions of Americans, whether they're already enrolled or
Yeah.
soon will be. So let's go to an AARP article titled Biggest Social Security Changes for 2025. And it provides some excellent details. The first 2025 change you should note is the cost of living adjustment, COLA, because inflation continued cooling in 2024. Social Security's 2025 cost of living adjustment is just about 2.5%. That's the smallest increase we've seen in 4 years. Now, since 2000, the yearly COLA increase has averaged actually about 2.6%. And the average Social Security payment would jump by about $49 a month. Now, the
Okay.
COLA is applied to all forms of Social Security payments. That means retirement benefits, survivor benefits, family benefits, and disability benefits, as well as supplemental security income, or what we call SSI, the monthly payment provided to those with low incomes or limited assets who are at least 65 or older, blind, or who have a disability, Tony.
Sure. And though a drop in inflation does mean you'll get a smaller cost of living increase in your Social Security than when the inflation was high, lower inflation is good. I mean, we want to slow down that price increase on the cost of goods. It's just been out of hand. So that's good news for many retirees that inflation is finally settling down a bit.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true, Tony. But we still have to consider, again, the next things for 2025 Social Security change would be Medicare premiums, talking about inflation and
Hmm.
costs.
Yeah.
The standard monthly premium for Medicare Part B, which covers visits to your doctors and other outpatient services, is $185 a month now in 2025. Most people enrolled in Medicare pay the standard rate, and it's most often deducted from their Social Security payment. So essentially, that means the Medicare Part B increase will offset the 2025 COLA by about $10, Tony.
Sure. Which means you're still going to get an overall increase, a net
Yes.
of about $40 then, or $39
Right.
for the average person, with the COLA in their Social Security. So it can be easy to forget that Social Security and Medicare are kind of linked, or often linked together like that.
They really are. Now, the next thing for 2025 will also bring about some significant changes for the services you can receive at, let's say, physical Social Security offices. Since 2022, when local Social Security offices finally began reopening after 2 years of pandemic related restrictions, the Social Security Administration has been urging customers who need in person assistance to call ahead to make an appointment rather than just dropping in. Now, in 2025, however, what was previously merely a recommendation is a requirement in most cases now. In fact, beginning January 6th, customers are required to schedule an appointment at their local field office, even if they're merely requesting a Social Security card. Now, the change was made in the hopes that it will reduce wait times, improve how services are delivered, and enhance the customer experience. There are more than 1,200 Social Security offices throughout the country, and as of late 2024, more than half had already implemented the appointment requirement. Now, of course, a person who arrives at a Social Security office without an appointment won't be turned away. The article adds that military personnel, those who are part of, let's say, vulnerable populations, the terminally ill, and others in situations that require, let's say, immediate attention, can arrive at a field office without an appointment. But to make an appointment for an office visit, you should call the Social Security Administration's national hotline at 1 800 772 1213 or contact your local office directly. Now, appointments can also be made online at ssa.gov.
Yep, that's ssa.gov, and that is the official website that the government has for Social Security. So don't be fooled by scammers or other people trying to
Yes.
sell you something. The government site for Social Security is ssa.gov. Now, your financial services professional, like yourself, Albert, I know you can help people with many different aspects of Social Security, sometimes even more than the people at the office can, because you know about the strategies and can look at a person's personal situation and help them determine when the best time to file would be for their own personal situation. And that's something they're not going to get from a worker at Social Security.
Right, right, definitely. And also you have to remember the full retirement age is also something to be prepared for in next year for 2025. Remember, the full retirement age, or what we call the FRA, is the age at which you're eligible to receive 100% of the Social Security benefit you earn through your years of work. Now, the article notes that for the last several years, the FRA has risen in 2 month increments based on the year you were born. So the full retirement age is 66 years and 8 months for people born in 1958 and 66 years and 10 months for people born in 1959. That means people born between May 2nd, 1958 and February 28th, 1959 will hit their full retirement age in 2025. Now, under current rules, the full retirement age is 67 for those that are born in 1960 and after. However, you can begin receiving Social Security before your full retirement age. The minimum age is currently 62, but if you file at that age, your monthly payment will be slashed by as much as 30%.
Wow.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, if you work past your full retirement age, your eventual payment will increase by 8% for each year you wait until age 70, at which point you'll receive your maximum payment, Tony.
Right. So when you file makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Now, before we move on, let's let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you, because I know you have a report that you're willing to run for our listeners who set up a no charge, no obligation consultation. And there's no charge for the report, that Social Security maximization report. How can our listeners do that?
Yeah, folks, if you want that complimentary report, you can just visit my website at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen, or call my office at 586-752-7008 and discuss how we can answer your questions about Social Security, your retirement goals, or any other elements of your financial strategy.
Sure. Well, I think that's huge. And we've covered a lot already today. What do you have for us next?
Well, let's go back to the AARP article titled Biggest Social Security Changes for 2025. It next addresses Social Security taxes. Now, remember, Social Security is mainly funded by a 12.4% tax on most American salaries. All right. So if you earn a salary, you pay 6.2% via the FICA withholding from your paycheck. Your employer then pays the other 6.2%. Those who are self employed pay the entire 12.6% as
Yeah.
part of their yearly tax return. Now, while the Social Security rate hasn't changed since 1990, the amount of income that's subject to the tax is adjusted yearly to better reflect national wage trends. So in 2025, you'll pay the tax on income up to $176,000. Earnings above that mark aren't taxed for Social Security purposes, nor is income you earn from investments.
Hmm. Good to know, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have this happen to them. But when I was a teenager and I got my first paycheck, I looked at it. I said, "Who's this FICA, and why are they taking my money? Why did that go? Who are they taking this money out of my check?" But with the gift of time, I'm glad I've been paying into Social Security all these years. Right?
Yes, yes. And obviously, you've been keeping track of your employment history with Social
Yep.
Security, which is good. I advise everyone to do that.
Yeah.
In fact, the article also next highlights the Social Security earnings test. Now, the Social Security Administration uses an earnings test for beneficiaries who haven't yet, let's say, yet hit their full retirement age. So those who collect retirement, survivor, or let's say family benefits before reaching their full retirement age and continue working may temporarily lose part of their Social Security payment if their earnings rise above a certain level. Now, that ceiling changes yearly by following wage trends. So in 2025, Social Security recipients who haven't reached their full retirement age will have $1 withheld from their Social Security payments for every $2 they make above $23,400. Now, here's an example. If let's say you make $40,000 from work in 2025, and your Social Security payment for the year would be reduced by $8,300, which is half the difference between $23,400 and $40,000. Now, the earnings test becomes less restrictive in the year you hit your full retirement age, with Social Security withholding $1 in benefits for every $3 that you earn above $62,160 until the month you reach your full retirement age. Now, at that point, the earnings test is no longer applicable, and there's no longer any benefit reductions, regardless of how much you earn when you get to your full retirement age. And additionally, the Social Security Administration adjusts your monthly payment amount so that over time you recoup what was previously withheld. But there are different rules for those receiving Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, because disability benefits are designed for people who aren't able to work for extended periods because of, let's say, a significant medical condition. You can lose those payments if your earnings reflect what the Social Security Administration refers to as substantial gainful activity. So in 2025, that cap is $1,620 a month for most people receiving SSDI. Those who receive SSDI due to blindness actually have a 2025 income limit of $2,700 a month, Tony.
So, and let me remind our listeners out there, Albert, that they don't have to navigate any part of this Social Security process alone, right?
Right.
A lot of financial services professionals, at least some of them, and I know you do this, you have experience with the program and you're able to answer their questions and offer sound advice to them, right?
Yes, definitely, definitely. And you got to also know all the nuances and rules. Like
Yeah.
for example, we should be discussing qualifying for Social Security benefits.
Yeah.
The first step in qualifying for Social Security payments is to have 40 Social Security credits, and then you earn credits or quarters of coverage, they call it in the Social Security Administration's language, by doing work and paying Social Security taxes on what you make.
Yeah.
Now, you earn up to 4 credits a year. So most workers reach Social Security requirements once they've been working for 10 years. Now, in 2025, you receive 1 credit for earnings of $1,810, which means you hit your 4 credits once you have $7,240 of income for the year.
Ah, and we touched on it a bit in the first segment, but tell us more about 2025's COLA adjustment.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Tony. In fact, in 2025, Social Security's cost of living adjustment, often simply referred to as the COLA, will rise by 2.5%. On average, according to the CNBC article, Social Security Administration announces 2.5% cost of living adjustment for 2025, lowest increase since 2021. Boy, that's a long title for an article.
Yeah.
Social Security enrollees will see their monthly payment rise by about $50. Now,
Yep.
each year, the COLA is calculated based on a portion of the Consumer Price Index called the consumer CPI, basically, for urban wage earners and clerical workers, or the CPIW. Now, the percentage increase in the CPIW from the third quarter of the previous year to the third quarter of the current year determines the COLA. So you should have been notified via mail in December about your new monthly payment amount. That information is also available online through your account at ssa.gov, backslash my account.
Right. And when you sit down, Albert, with your clients to talk about Social Security, what typically comes up during those conversations?
Well, when I meet with the client to, let's say, chat about their financial strategy and retirement goals, it's very common for them to tell me Social Security is their largest worry. And that's very understandable, Tony, because for many, Social Security is a large part of their retirement income plan, regardless of how many other assets and income sources they may have. So, as we build, let's say, a strategy together, many clients are pleased when I explain that there are many steps they can take to increase the size of their monthly Social Security payment.
Yeah. And that's so important. And that's another reason why our listeners out there should have that Social Security maximization report done because it's
Mhm.
personalized to them and their situation. And it does over 20,000 calculations to figure out, okay, what's your spousal benefit situation? When's the best time for you to file based on your situation? So I think that's huge. How can our listeners get a hold of you to get that?
Well, folks, if you'd like to learn more or get more information about what you hear today in our show, just give us a call at 586-752-7008 or visit us online at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen.
All right. Well, thanks, Albert. Now, what's on the agenda next regarding Social Security?
Well, let's talk about in our final segment here. We're going to discuss a second AARP article titled Eight Things You Didn't Know Social Security Could Do for You.
Mhm.
And the first of which is, well, expedited disability claims. In 2024, the average processing time for a Social Security disability claim was 8 months for just the initial application. It can actually take several more months, perhaps even years, to appeal a claim that's been denied. Clearly, this kind of wait time can be burdensome for those, well, with severe or worsening medical conditions. But the Social Security Administration's Compassionate Allowances Program has a list of nearly 300 serious medical conditions that meet the threshold for disability. Applications for Social Security disability insurance or supplemental security income that include conditions from that list are automatically fast tracked and can sometimes be approved in just days, Tony.
Well, getting fast track for approval like that would be a big win for a lot of people, I think.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
And then next, the program has a representative payee program designed for those who can't manage their own Social Security payment, such as those with, let's say, cognitive disorders or developmental disability, or who are young children. Now, in these cases, the Social Security Administration can appoint someone to serve as a beneficiary representative for the payee. Now, as of late 2022, about 4.8 million people, or I should say 7.2% of all Social Security recipients, had a representative payee. Serving as a representative payee requires constant diligence because the Social Security Administration holds that person responsible for how the funds are used, and they're forbidden from using any proceeds for their own use.
Yeah. Well, and it's good that the representative payee rule is in place. And it's also good that those who take on that role are held to a high standard.
Yes, definitely is. Okay, now, next, Social Security may also be able to help you with Medicare drug costs. Now, Extra Help is a joint program run by the Social Security Administration and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or we call CMS, that's designed to cut prescription drug costs for low income Medicare recipients by up to thousands of dollars a year. The program is open to all Social Security recipients, and the 2025 income limit is $22,590 for individuals and $30,660 for married couples. Those incomes are based on the federal poverty level.
Right. And you had mentioned that extra help program on a previous show. And until then, I didn't even know it existed. I knew nothing about it. And it's clear from what you just told us that program could be vital for a lot of Social Security recipients, right?
Right. And speaking of vital, the Social Security Administration also provides translation and interpretation services for recipients who speak, let's say, little or no English. Interpreter services are free of charge to anyone who requests them or shows a need for that assistance.
Hmm.
Now, the Social Security Administration has translation services available in more than a dozen languages. To request an interpreter, call 1 800 772 1213. Social Security related materials are also provided in numerous languages on the administration's website, sss.gov/multi-language.
All right. Well, and government agencies get a bad rap because they can feel overly bureaucratic at times, and we all have experienced that. But providing services in so many languages, it seems like Social Security is doing all it can to provide services to as many people as possible, right?
Yes, it is. Now, let me go and correct just what I said on the website for the administration for language interpretation. I said SSS. It's ssa.gov, guys, /multi-language. Okay.
Yeah, SSA
You
dot
can get it.
gov. Right.
Now, next up is international Social Security agreements. A lot of Americans work in foreign countries, just as many people from other countries work here in the United States. People in either situation may be facing dual payroll taxes, which in this case simply means paying in two different countries' retirement systems out of the same salary pool. So, to provide relief, the Social Security Administration has hammered out formal agreements with 30 countries that have similar programs. Now, these agreements typically allow workers to pay their payroll taxes to just one country's retirement system at a time. And additionally, they allow workers who are covered by this agreement to pool the credits they've earned in more than one nation to better ensure that they qualify for benefits in the country where they intend to claim them.
Interesting. I knew nothing about that. That's fascinating.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing a lot of people probably don't know about that option either.
Nope.
So, with so many international workers out there, these agreements make perfect sense, though.
Yes. Okay, so now we are running out of time and here, so I'm going to quickly point out that if you're applying for, let's say, a loan or a government assistance and your income includes Social Security, you can quickly get a copy of your proof of income statement through your Social Security account at ssa.gov /my account. Now, Social Security also provides benefits for grandchildren. Currently, about 7 million people are living with a minor grandchild, and nearly one third of those are a child's primary caregiver. In most cases, if you're providing at least half of a minor's grandchild's financial support and their natural parents are deceased, the child can collect dependent or survivor benefits when you retire, become disabled, or pass away. Now, if you're already receiving Social Security when you begin caring for that grandchild, you're required to legally adopt them before they can receive benefits based on your record.
Wow. That's really good information. Is there anything else you want to add before we have to go today, Albert?
Listeners, you can visit my website at www.kaizenfinancialgroup.com. That's Kaizen, Kaizen, or call my office at 586-752-7008 and discuss how we can answer your questions about Social Security, your retirement goals, or any other elements of your financial strategy. Remember, it's our goal to help you prepare for the retirement you worked so hard for so you can own your retirement.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Albert, great show today. Social Security is such an important topic. I'm glad you let us know about some important facts there. And listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Own Your Retirement with our host, Albert Lalonde.
Take care, everybody.